Welcome to the episode of my GNU/Linux and USB tutorials. Today's video will be a little bit a hard one because today I will talk about the theory behind the Universal Serial Bus or USB. And I would recommend you maybe instead, or in addition to watching this video, you could also read USB in a nutshell, because in this slideshow I will only sum up the most important things. And to be honest, most of the pictures I'm using in this slideshow are from USB in a nutshell. So I would highly recommend you to read the original document. But I will also offer you a short summary here, so let's start. First, let's talk about the physical interface. As I'm just mentioning USB up to version 2.0, here we can see the two USB connectors, which are common for the standard. So here on the left hand side we have a USB type A slot, which you can find on a PC, for example. And on the right hand side we have a USB type B connector, which you can find on a device. So by this, if you just look at the USB slot, you can say if this is a PC or if it's a USB device like a printer, for example, or a hardware debugger, because devices always have this USB type B connector and PCs always had these USB type A connectors. Of course, with all devices getting smaller and smaller, they invented mini and micro USB, and nowadays we only have USB-C, so this distinction between device and host is not so clear any longer, because now everything is USB-C, but never mind. Okay, so for USB 2.0 we had 4 pins in both connectors, and let's go briefly over them. So pin 1 was 5 volts positive voltage supply, then we have 2 differential data pins with a logic level of maximum 3.3 volts, and differential means if we have a high level on D+, we have a low level on D-. So D- is always the opposite of D+. And pin 4 is the ground pin. So to sum it up, we have 2 voltage supply pins and 2 differential data pins. Okay, and now let's talk about the USB speeds. For USB 2.0 we have high speed, which is up to 480 megabits per second. We have full speed, which is 12 megabits per second. And we have low speed, which is 1.5 megabits per second. And down here we can see how a USB host can detect if a device is connected and if this device is a full speed or low speed device. So here on the left hand side we have the USB slot, for example, of a PC. And we can see both data lines are pulled to ground over this 13K resistor here. And if no device is connected, both data lines will be pulled to ground. But if we connect a device to this slot, one of the data lines will be pulled up by a 1.5 kilo ohm resistor, and this way on one of the 2 differential pins we will have a 3.3 voltage level. And this way the host knows a new device is connected to the bus. And when D+ is pulled high, we have a full speed device. If D- is pulled high, we have a low speed device. Okay, and now let's talk about some general concepts of USB. So we have 3 roles in USB. We have a USB host, which is normally a PC. We have a USB function, which is the USB device, such as a USB stick, a printer, a webcam, a keyboard, and so on and so forth. And we have hubs. It's always the host who initializes the transfer, and the function only reacts to the host. So it's never the case that the first USB package is sent from a function. It's always the host who starts the transfers. As a topology, USB uses a tiered star topology with the host in the middle and all the devices connected directly to the host or over USB hubs. Every function, so every USB device, gets a unique address from the host, and this is part of the USB enumeration. So you can connect up to 127 USB devices to a USB bus. And address 0 is always reserved for the new connected device. So if you connect a new device to a USB slot, what the host will do is it will apply a reset by pulling both data pins low, I think, for a specific amount of time. And then the device will start up again with USB address 0. Now the host can get some information from the USB device with address 0 to know which device it is, and then it will write an address to the device, and this is a new address which is not equal to 0, and now they can communicate over this new unique address. There are two directions for transfers. We have in and out transfers. So an out transfer always transfers data from the PC to the USB device. An in transfer transfers data from the device to the host. So this is just a definition for the two directions of the data flow. And you also have to know there is always a setup package before a data package. So in the data package or in the setup package, there are the setup package contains the address of the USB device which should be accessed. It contains if it's an in or an out transfer, and it contains the transfer type about which we will talk just in a second. And then if the host sends the setup package to the device has to acknowledge it, and then the data packages will be sent out, and every data package has to be acknowledged. And if someone wants to stop the transaction, they will send a zero length package. So this is a package with the data length of 0. And the functions are realized over unidirectional endpoints for the data transfer. And endpoints is just a small amount of memory. It could be a SRAM or a FIFO, for example, but we will take a look at this later in more details. So now first let's talk about the USB transfer types. So there are 4 USB transfer types. The first one is called the control transfer. And the control transfer is for endpoint 0 only. So only endpoint 0 supports control transfers. Over control transfers, we can set up the USB device. For example, the USB enumeration, so getting information from the USB device, is done over control transfers, and assigning the unique bus address is also done about control transfer. The next transfer type is called interrupt transfer. With interrupt transfers, we have a guaranteed latency, and this is, for example, used for a keyboard or a mouse. So in an interrupt transfer, the USB host will ask the keyboard, for example, every 200 milliseconds if there is new data available, so if any key is pressed, and then the keyboard can transfer the pressed keys to the host. Then we have an isochronous transfer. This gives us guaranteed access to USB bandwidth and bounded latencies. And this is used for video or audio transfers. So for example, in this transfer type there is no acknowledge of the data packages, because for example if we have a video camera connected over USB and we are recording from this camera, if 1 frame per second is dropped, it's not so important. So we have a guaranteed bandwidth and a bounded latency, but it could be that sometimes a package is lost, and this is not a problem for these types of transfers here. And the last transfer is called the bulk transfer. This is used to transfer large bursty data. We have no guarantee of bandwidth or minimum latency. And this is, for example, used for a USB stick. Because on a USB stick we want to transfer big amounts of data, and we don't care if this will take a little bit longer or less time, because here it's only important that the data will arrive someday and will be stored at the USB stick. Okay, now let's come back to the endpoints. So the endpoints are unidirectional, which means they can support in or out transfer, but not both. The only exception is endpoint 0, because endpoint 0 supports in and out transfers, but all the others don't. And here in this picture we can see a little bus topology. So here we have a host and we have 2 USB devices. And now let's say USB device with address 2 is a USB stick, and endpoint 1 out is from the type bulk transfer, and this can be used to store files on the USB stick. So now let's say our PC wants to store a file on the USB stick. So what it does is it will send a setup package containing the address of the device, which will be 2 in this case, then the number of the endpoint, which will be 1 in this case, and the direction, which will be out. Then this package is sent over the bus, and USB device with the address 2 will acknowledge this package. Then the data packages are sent, and the maximum amount of a data package is defined by the maximum size of the endpoint. For USB 2.0, I think the maximum size is 64 bytes. So we will get 64 bytes, which will be written into endpoint 1 out buffer. Then an interrupt will be generated, and the USB device can take the data out of endpoint 1 and write them to the flash. Then it will acknowledge it, and then the host sends the second data package. And if the host decided, okay, now we have transferred the file, it will send a serial length package here, and this way the USB device knows, okay, now the transfer is over. And I will give you a second example. Let's say this USB device with address 3 here is a keyboard, and in endpoint 1 in, we find is from the type interrupt transfer, and in here we have stored the keys which were pressed. So once again, every 200 or 20 milliseconds, the PC will send a setup package. This time the address will be 3, the endpoint is 1 again, and the direction is in this time. Okay, the setup package will be received here, and an interrupt will be triggered. The USB device will acknowledge it. Then it will look in endpoint 1 in, or if there are any keys pressed. If so, the microcontroller will write this in endpoint 1 in, and then the data will be sent out to the PC, and the PC will acknowledge each data package, and at the end our USB device sends a serial length package, and this way the host knows, okay, now the transfer is complete. So these were just 2 examples for how to use the endpoints. I hope this is a little bit more clear now. If you want to know more details, I would highly recommend you to read USB in a nutshell. But how does the PC knows which endpoints are available and which types the endpoints are? Well, this is done by the USB descriptors. So every USB device has a hierarchical structure of USB descriptors. And at the top we have the device descriptor. The device descriptor contains the vendor and device ID of the USB device, because every USB device has a unique vendor and device ID. And over these IDs, the PC can load up the correct driver for the device. Then there are some more informations like the supported speed of the device is also part of the device descriptor, and we have a number of configurations. So what are configurations? Well, let's imagine a device which have 2 configurations. One for firmware upload or update, and a second one for normal operation. So configurations are different operation modes of the USB device, and the host can activate one configuration at a time. So it's not possible to use the firmware update mode and the normal operation mode at once. The host has to decide which mode it wants to use. And part of the configuration description is the number of interfaces. So interfaces are like a set of endpoints. So let's imagine we have some USB speakers with keys to turn the volume up and down. Then we could have 2 interfaces, one interface for the audio device and one interface which works like a keyboard for the 2 buttons. And this is how the interfaces works. And then in the interface descriptor we have the number of endpoints. This indicates how much endpoint there are, and then we have the endpoint descriptors. And in the endpoint descriptors we can find the information like the size of the endpoints, the type of the endpoints, and that's about it. And then, additional to these descriptors, there are some string descriptors, like for example a manufacturer name or something like that can also be part of the USB descriptors. But these are the most important ones and the needed ones to get a USB device up and running. Okay, so this was the theory for today. In my next video I will actually program a first USB device. But now I hope you've enjoyed the video and learned something. If you want to support my work, you can buy me a coffee on buymeacoffee.com/Johannes for Linux. So thanks for watching and goodbye.